I saw an interview on Breakfast Club. Yo, but I was actually really impressed with the Breakfast Club. They did an interview with parents of Karmelo Anthony. And it wasn't like the whole Breakfast Club. It was I guess, their news correspondent. I think she has a journalism background and she did a really good job on the interview. But there's a few things that parents said during that interview. It was primarily the father that talked. One thing he said was, we trusted the system and we thought that the system was going to implement justice. He said, so we didn't really ask a lot of questions. We just deferred to the attorney and court and the judge. We didn't ask a lot of questions because we didn't want to come off as those angry black people that's causing problems and whatnot. That was my first mistake. Basically, that's what he said is my first mistake. And my son has 35 years to life. Another thing he said was, everybody was telling us to get a white lawyer. And he said, and he was pretty candid about it. He said, black people told us to get a white lawyer for a case like this. And he said that was also a mistake. And if you know anything about the case, the lawyer was so bad that there's strong speculation that the lawyer was in on railroading Karmelo Anthony. He was in on it with the prosecution and the judge because there were certain things. They took all the black people out of the jury. That was a red flag because that's low-hanging fruit. You can say, oh, no, we can't continue with this trial yet until we get a jury of his peers. At least reflects that to some extent. So that was the other thing he said. And then, this is another thing he said. He said, we're a good family. We live in a good neighborhood. We stay out the way. We just go to work. And our son has a 3.2 GPA. He's captain of the track team. He has 2 jobs. So he said, this serves as a warning to black people that thought, he said, I never thought that this could happen, something like this could happen to us because we're good ones. And he said, this should serve as a warning to a lot of black people that don't think can happen to them. It can't, because he said everything was followed to the letter of the law. This was a clear-cut self-defense situation. But not only did my son get charged, they threw the book at him. So now granted, I'm looking at the interview wondering why the father and the mother didn't see something like this coming. When they took all of the black people out of the jury, that should have been your first red flag. At that point, know what's going on. Oh, and then the other thing was the Hispanic kid that invited him in the tent. So there's a whole story about there's a Hispanic kid that invited Karmelo in this tent that the white boys didn't want him in. And that's what caused the altercation. The Hispanic boy got on the stand and said he didn't even know Karmelo. He basically just denied knowing him. Turns out this boy is the cousin of Carmelo's girlfriend. His girl was Hispanic. And he also joined in on beating up Karmelo during this altercation. Right? And again, this is low-hanging fruit. The defense could have easily, Carmelo's attorney could have easily blown holes through this kid's testimony. And there was nothing done on the attorney's part. It was obviously a lynching. It was a criminal justice lynching, a courtroom lynching. But go and watch that interview if you're interested. Go and watch the interview because it gave a lot of insight on the case.